quiet evening, snow is falling, and from every window shines a light. Somewhere in the distance drums are calling, but no one heeds their call tonight. Christmas, oh Christmas, how we long for you.
It was the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. For those of you who are new, my name is Melissa, and I am thrilled that you have chose to spend some time over here in my little space on YouTube today. Today is the first day of Vlogmas, and I am so excited to share the next few days with you guys. I have lots of things planned, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I've never done Vlogmas, and honestly, I haven't researched it a whole lot. I've obviously watched some videos on YouTube that, different people that I follow have put out during Vlogmas last year. But outside of that, I really don't know a whole lot about it, if there's rules, if there's not rules. But I'm just gonna kind of do it the way that I want to do it. Like I say in a lot of my videos, you make it work for you. And if it works for you, it's not something that ends up becoming resented and, work and stress and all of that kind of stuff. If you make it kind of work with what you have going on in your current situation and your current lifestyle, then it's not gonna feel hard and like work. And so I'm really excited about what I have planned for the next 3 weeks. Like I said, I don't really know the structure of what Vlogmas is, but I will tell you the structure that mine is going to be. So this week is going to be all about planning. So every week is going to have a theme or a structure, if you will, and we're going to be focusing on certain topics per week. So my week will go from Sunday to Saturday. So every Sunday you will start off in a new theme. So for the first week, which is this week, we are going to be talking about planning. We're going to be talking about, planning out our meals so that we can start to look for things that are on sale and make sure that we have all of the dinnerware and all of that kind of stuff that we need for our meal for Christmas. We're going to be planning any traditions that we want to either redo that we've done in years past, or things that, we want to bring into our families as a new tradition. We are going to be talking about planning our decorations. I will do a walkthrough of our home and show you how I have decorated our home for Christmas this year, as well as my front porch. And we will also be talking about just kind of how I go about planning the month of December so that I don't absolutely lose my mind. It is possible, friends, I promise. But what I will say is sometimes you have to learn to say no. And I will get more into that on that day, but I think that you'll really enjoy this week. So then the second week is going to be all about gift giving, whether that goes along with like teacher gifts or stockings, work gifts if you have employees that you have to purchase for. I personally do not, but my husband has been in the corporate world for the last 20 years, and I feel like I kind of have it down to a science. That has always been something that I have willingly been in charge of and taken care of. And so I feel like we've done a lot of things to kind of make it not painful, and to make it feel like you're actually gifting someone something that will benefit them, or help them grow with their family, or something for their lifestyle. But I will obviously get more into that on that day. And also just kind of gifting and giving to people that you may not even know. You know, we have done the acts of kindness in the past. We have taken things to the hospital and gifted nurses and staff as well. And so just kind of not only gifting ourselves or our immediate family or our friends or teachers or neighbors or whatever, but gifting people that we may not even know. Because that's important too, to let the people that you may not have direct contact with just realize that they are appreciated as well. And it's not all about the gifts necessarily. It's about just giving the feeling of appreciation and love. I will also be talking about and showing you guys how I wrap my gifts, how I make it simple and painless. And so I think that you'll really enjoy that. And then on the third week, which is the final week, we have like one day in the fourth week, and I will do a video for that. But as far as like my theme and whatnot, then week 3 will be the last of that. And what that will be talking all about is just preparation. So preparing our homes for company, you know, preparing different meals for company as well, like baking and having things in our home for when company is here, as well as baking and cooking and having things in our home for when our kids come home from school. I don't know when your kids get out of school, but my kids get out around the 17th or 18th. I need to look at my planner when I plan with you guys and double check, but it's one of those 2 days. And so just making sure that we have things in our home to you know, make it comfortable for them, but yet make it comfortable for us and allow us to keep our sanity while they are in the house. I absolutely love having my kids home, so I am so excited for you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas and spring break and all of that when I actually have them here with me. And so just making sure that we have things that, you know, are set in place to help that flow easily, as well as you know, planning things that you want to do with them when they are home, and just planning that out so that it doesn't become a burden and it doesn't become something that, oh my goodness, you know, I wanted to do this today with you guys, but I just didn't have time to get it all together, and I don't have the appropriate things that we would need to do it, and all of that kind of thing. So just kind of prepping and planning our home for company and kiddos home. So I hope that you guys will absolutely love Vlogmas this year. One thing that I did want to do today, along with just explaining to you kind of how it was going to work, is to do a Q&A. This channel has really grown over the last couple months, and so I thought that it would be a great idea to do a Q&A and just answer some of your questions. I answer them on YouTube, but I feel like unless you know what you're looking for, it's just really hard to see my answer, you know, without scrolling through everybody's questions, and that's just a pain. Nobody has time for that. So I was gonna go back through and read some of your questions, just so that you would get to know me a little bit better and just feel a little bit closer connected with me as we spend the next 3 weeks together, and you know, maybe get an insight as to who I am and why I am and all of those kinds of things. So I have the questions here on my phone, and I am going to go ahead and just start answering them. So one of the main questions that I get asked is, are we Jewish? No, we are not Jewish. We are actually Seventh-day Adventist, and our Sabbath is on Saturday. So what we believe is, according to the Bible, Sabbath is sundown Friday night to sundown Saturday night. And for us, that is just a sacred time where we spend time with our family, we fellowship with friends, we go to church. It's just a day of peace and rest. We're not mowing our yard outside, we're not cleaning our house, doing the laundry, that type of thing. It's just very biblical in that the Bible clearly states on Sabbath, I ask you to rest. And I feel like if God's asking me to rest, then hands up, I sure am going to, because God said so. And so it's a day that we look forward to, because we know that we're not going to have to be just totally bombarded with everything during the week. And it's a day to look forward to just say, you know what? I don't have to today. I am going to rest my body. I'm going to heal my body from the crazy week that I have had. And I'm going to spend time with my family and my kids and my friends, and I'm going to go to church, and just all of that. It's also just a day to fellowship with other people, and to bring people into your home for dinner or coffee and dessert and just whatever. Just, if I can say anything about our Sabbath, it is biblical, it is a day of rest, and it is a day of peace, and it is a day that we look forward to. So I hope that answers your question. The next one, how do we monitor electronics? Oh, it's so hard. I feel like our kids are so bombarded with electronics, and when I was growing up, like Nintendo and Atari was basically the extent of it. But even with that, for me, that was kind of stuff that you did like in the winter when you couldn't be outside and it was freezing cold, and you were looking for stuff to do. But even that, it's like, and obviously, speaking as a woman and then girl, I wasn't going to be as addicted as, maybe some of the boys in my class. But for me as a girl, it just was not something that I cared about. But now I feel like there's YouTube, and there's Fortnite, and there's Minecraft, and all kinds of other things that I don't even know about. Those are just the things that I hear about in my house for the season that my children are in. And I feel like as parents, we so easily become soft because we want to be the cool parent, and we want to, connect with our kids and have them think that we're cool, them to think that they can come and talk to us. And if we're constantly saying no to them, they're not going to feel that connection. Look, my kids know I love you more than absolutely anything in this world. I would lay my life down for you, but I am not your friend. I am your mother, and I'm going to listen to whatever you want me to listen to. I'm going to be connected. I'm going to give you 115% all the time, every time. And it is my job, given to me by God, to raise you in a way that you are a good and decent part of society. So what we do in our home is we allow a certain amount of time every day. We actually use Disney Circle, and I will put a link down below. If you follow me on Instagram, I actually linked them on the Black Friday because they were running a special. But what it allows you to do is it sets up filters for your home, but it also allows you to set up time limits for each individual person in your home as well who has an electronic device. And whatever the limit is that you set, once that limit is finished, the computer totally shuts down. There is no way to get on the computer without an adult going in and adding more time to that person's account. And that has worked well for us. Our kids know exactly how much time they have been given, and that's it. Do we get grumbling and complaining and and sure, because they're kids, and that's what they do. I mean, we're all normal. I grumble and complain about things too, even though I know the answer. But for us, it has just allowed us to set some structure in our home so that electronics don't totally take over. On school days, absolutely no electronics whatsoever until homework is done, chores are done, and everything that you are responsible for here in this house has been accomplished. And then if there's time afterwards for electronics, that's fine. On the weekends, we don't do any of that on Saturday during our Sabbath. It's just a time where we unplug and, you know, don't bring that into our day. On Sunday, there's a time limit, and once it's gone, how you choose to use it, that's totally up to you. If you want to use your time on a YouTube video, if you want to use your time on a game, that's up to you, but you are responsible for the time that you have. During the week, our kids get 30 minutes every day, and that's it. I feel like anything outside of that, you just, I don't know what it is, but it's like the behavior starts, the sassiness starts. It is just all consuming. And so I hope that answers your questions. And this is just what we do for our family. Whatever you do for your family, that's totally up to you. Everybody does what they feel is best for them. And obviously mine is just what works for us. And so I'm by no means judging whatever anybody does in their own home. That is totally up to you. But to answer the question that has been asked to me quite a few times, that's what we do and what works best for us. Let's see. Have I always been organized? Yes. So my grandma was probably the most organized person that I have ever known. My mom worked part-time and then full-time as I got older, and so I spent time each day with my grandma from little to older. I can remember being 5 years old and her showing me how to organize drawers and organize a pantry and organize then Tupperware and just things like that. And so a lot of who I am is because of her. And I get emotional every time I talk about her. She passed away about 4 years ago, and gosh, so much has happened in that 4 years that I would love to share with her. Just because we had such a connection, and there is so much of why I do what I do and who I am because of her. My goodness. But I've always been like that because I spent so much time with her. And so I was always the kid who was organizing and decorating their Barbie house instead of actually playing it. Or I was picking up after my friends as they were playing and, you know, putting things in baggies and whatever. Such a weirdo child. But I've always been like this. I am very much someone who needs structure and needs organization to just feel a sense of peace. It's just always been something that has been a part of my life. I was like that, you know, little. I was like that in high school. I was like that when I got married. Just for the simple fact that being organized and staying organized allows me to, I guess, feel in control. What are your number one tips for sanity? Again, just being organized. Planning, writing everything down, looking at your entire month and seeing what you are responsible for, and then what your spouse is responsible for, and what your children have going on. I feel like if you can kind of separate it into different subjects, if you will, then it's easier for you to be able to spread yourself accordingly where you need to be and where you may not need to be. If you can share time with your spouse in doing some of the different things that need to be done through the month, at least you can look at that and see who needs to be spread where. For me, I don't have the typical situation where my husband goes to work at 8 and comes home at 5:30. He does work a lot of hours. He travels a decent amount in his job. And so for me, I kind of have to have a little bit more responsibility in my household, and, you know, kind of have to be the one that's doing a little bit more of the driving, or, you know, whatever the situation is. My name kind of gets written down a few more times of what I'm responsible for. And that's okay. That's my job, that's my role, that's why I don't work, so that I can be available and be able to do those things. But I just feel like if I have a plan for the entire month, if I know the meals that we're going to be eating the week before we're going to be eating them, that's huge. If my kids' stuff is set out at night, backpacks are totally ready, homework is done and in the backpack, shoes are where they need to be, coats are where they need to be. If all of that is ready for the next day, my day starts off so much easier because I planned ahead and put a little bit of extra time in before so that there was more peace after. We're not running around searching for coats, shoes, books, homework, all of that kind of stuff. It just is easier for everyone. Everyone's day kind of starts off as smooth as possible. So what I will say is just planning, writing everything out that you want to accomplish, and then spreading yourself accordingly, yet making it realistic. Don't write down 90 things that you want to accomplish in the month of whatever and have 7 on each day that take an obscene amount of time, and then you feel absolutely defeated at the end of the day because you did not get all 7 or even 5 or even 3 things accomplished. Be realistic in what you want to see your month look like, and then you'll feel like you have accomplished something at the end of that. Let's see. How long have I been married? So this year, on November 21st, we celebrated 19 years. We dated a year and were engaged a year, and then got married November 21st of 1999. Why did you name your channel My Intentional Life? So every year I pick out a word or a phrase that I want to kind of hold myself to in the new year. I don't do the whole resolution thing and all of that because I just feel, for me personally, I just kind of set myself up for failure with that if I give myself all of these have-tos. Because I'm very much a person who likes to check a box off, and when I'm not able to check a box off, I get very frustrated and down on myself. And so for me, words and phrases have always worked better. I'm sure it's like a mental thing, whatever, but that's just what works for me. So 2 years ago, my word was intentional. And I just felt like as my kids started into real school, because we homeschooled before that, and when we moved to Denver, we put them into a school system. And so I just felt like there were so many things coming at me, especially as a stay-at-home mom. I feel like a lot of times people get the perception that you're just sitting by the phone waiting for someone to call and ask you to do something, and that's so not the case. I was actually and am more busy now as a just stay-at-home mom and wife and whatever than I was as a homeschooler, because I didn't have all of these activities and projects and just all that goes along with the school. And it's not a bad thing. My kids love being in school, but what I'm saying is the outlines of my days looked a lot different as far as what we were responsible for and what I was responsible for. And so I came up with the word intentional because I wanted to start to be more intentional about what I said yes to, what I participated in, what friends I hung around, just different things like that. I wanted the decisions that I made to be intentional decisions that were going to help me grow, help me become and want to be a better person. And so for me, I just thought that a way to start this was by calling this channel My Intentional Life, because that's the season that I was in. I was trying to be intentional as a mother, as a friend, as a daughter, as a wife, as all of the things that I needed to be. I wanted to be very intentional in that. And so that is why this channel was named My Intentional Life. How many times have we moved? So we, both my husband and I are from Nebraska. I was born and raised in Lincoln, and my husband was born and raised in Kimball, which is close to Scottsbluff and the Wyoming border. So Scottsbluff, Nebraska, excuse me, and the Wyoming border, kind of in between there. We both went to college in Lincoln. That's where we met. And from there, my husband got a job in Orlando, Florida, with the system that we have been with for that entire time, 20 years now. From Orlando, we went to North Carolina. We lived in Asheville, North Carolina. From there, we actually came here to Kansas City, and my husband worked here. And I did as well. I worked in the hospital up until I had my son Christian, and that's when we chose that I would stay home. So from here, we went to Calhoun, Georgia, which is right between Atlanta and Chattanooga. And then from there, we went to San Marcos, Texas, which is right between Austin and San Antonio. And from there, we went to Denver, and now we are back here in Kansas City, and absolutely thrilled beyond words to be back here. That was always our goal. Our goal was to always figure out a way to get back here to the same place that we were before, in a position that would allow us to be able to stay and raise our kids and just have those Midwest qualities and lifestyle that both of us were raised in. So we have moved, this is our 8th state, and in those 8 states, between all of being like renting a house, you know, before we built, or you know, all that goes on with moving and waiting to get into a house and all of that kind of stuff, we have actually had 18 addresses in 20 years. And so that's why organizing and planning have been such a huge part of my life, because the last 20 years has been that. And so I've had to be able to stay on top of things and, you know, have my home in a way that we're not lugging tons of junk and whatever with us every time we move. What does my husband do? So my husband works in hospital administration. He started out as an intern in Orlando, Florida, and has worked his way up the ladder from controller to CFO to COO to CEO. And this role here, he again is CEO of a hospital here in the Kansas City area. How old am I? I am 39 years old. I had to think about that. I will turn 40 on December 31st, which is hard for me to believe. I can remember looking at people who were 40 and thinking that they had one foot in the grave. And I don't feel like I do. I hope that I don't look like I do. But even though I'm going to be 40, it's like, oh wow, you know, I am getting older and whatever. But what I will say is I wouldn't want to go back. I feel like with all of these years has come maturity and humility and responsibility and life lessons that I certainly wouldn't want to give away just for the sake of being younger. Do the rude comments bother you? No, I don't care. I'm not on here to really gain people's like or love for me. I'm I'm on here to share what I do and why I do it and what works for me to, in turn, maybe help 1 or 2 or 3 people out in their life so that their life isn't as chaotic or overwhelming as maybe it was last week. You can't please everybody. You just can't, and you can't think that you can. And so what I will say is, I don't feel like we get a ton of negative comments here on this channel, and for that I have been grateful. You know, you get the couple of people who, the second that you put up a video, they give it a thumbs down, and I just have to laugh at that because there's obviously something going on in their life that makes them happy to do that. And if putting a thumbs down on my video when I post it is what's going to bring them happiness for that day, then okay. It honestly does not bother me. I'm going to try to be as positive as I possibly can. I feel like positivity spawns positivity, and the negative comments, no, they do not bother me, and they will not bother me. Sorry, I lost my place here. Oh, last question, okay. Where did you grow up? So it's always funny. People ask me that, and I kind of have two answers to that. I was born and raised in Lincoln, Nebraska. I am a huge Husker fan. Pretty much anybody who was born and raised in Nebraska is a huge Husker fan because that's all we have, okay? We have the Huskers and we have corn. And so when you go there, you constantly see Husker stuff everywhere on people's cars. They're wearing it, you know. Football Saturday, the whole town is a sea of red, and I love it. But then on the other side of that, I feel like I grew up in Orlando. I grew up in North Carolina. I grew up in Georgia. I grew up in Kansas City. I grew up in Texas. I grew up in Denver, and I'm growing up here. I feel like we're never grown. There's so much to learn and so much to grow ourselves in every day. And I don't want to ever feel like I'm grown, because then that means that I've stopped learning and I've stopped trying and I've stopped trying to better myself for the sake of those around me. So that's just kind of how I answer that. I was born and raised in Lincoln, Nebraska, but I'm growing and have grown everywhere that I have been, because with each move has been highs and lows. That's just the way that life is. And through all of that, I feel and hope that I have been able to grow in different ways, you know, than where I was a month or 6 months or a year ago. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope that it gave you a better understanding of who I am and what I am and why I am and all of that. And so I hope that as we go into Vlogmas, that you will be able to just kind of connect with me a little bit better and feel like we're just a couple of friends hanging out, decorating, cooking, cleaning, planning, all of that together, as if you were here in my home doing it with me. If you are not yet subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you would come and join me over here in this little space that I have created on YouTube. And if you are not already following me on Instagram, then jump over there as well, because I post there pretty much every day during the week, and it's just a better way for you to get to know me a little bit more outside of an edited video. There is a bell right by that subscribe button. If you want to be notified every time that I post a new video, click on that bell and that will let you know every time that I do that. That way you don't have to be coming back to check whether or not I've posted anything new. It will just automatically let you know that. Friends, until next time, I just encourage you to create a life that you absolutely love living and will not need a vacation from. I will see you in my next video, which will be Vlogmas Day 2. Bye-bye.